Hi, today I'm going to demonstrate ASG's data intelligence tool and how you can implement it to address your GDPR requirements. What you see in front of you is the 5-step roadmap we created to implement the GDPR program. I'm going to walk you through these steps in today's demonstration in detail by showing them in the tool. So if you look at this program, in the first step, we are going to talk about how you can create an inventory of your business assets. When I say business assets, things like your business applications, your business processes, critical data elements, policies, and procedures. In step 2, we are going to talk about the application onboarding process, which is basically scanning your databases and create an inventory of your technical metadata and automatically type PAA data elements. In step 3, we are going to talk about data lineage. So data lineage, in this case, shows how the data moves in and out of your organization and how is it being used. In step number 4, we are going to talk about the dashboards and reports we provide out of the box. I will specifically talk about the privacy impact assessment report, which is being mentioned in the GDPR regulation. And I'm going to also show you some dashboards and reports to monitor your GDPR program progress. In the last step, we are going to talk about how you can set up a collaboration framework to handle changes in your technological landscape, or maintain your glossary using our tool. We have some embedded workflow tools and change detection and issues and snapshots. So let's begin. What you see in front of you is the DI browser, our primary user interface for our end users. Like we discussed, one of the very first things you'd like to do when you start your GDPR program is to create an inventory of your applications. So basically you'd like to document where the information exists, and you'd like to also capture a couple of attributes, including who is the owner of this application, who owns this data. The next thing you'd like to do is, what kind of PII information do I deal with in my business? Am I dealing with things like credit card number, social security number, even biometric information or criminal records or things like that. So you identify what kind of PII information relates to your business. You document these critical data elements, because these will be the data elements we will be searching in all your databases and applications. And then while you are doing that, you'd like to, of course, capture some additional attributes, such as, is this a sensitive information? Is this confidential information? What's my closure rule? Do I retain them? And things like that. So you define all these data elements in your glossary. The next thing what you'd like to do is, as you start establishing your GDPR program, GDPR processes, you start defining your workflows. So, for instance, let's think about the one of the most famous GDPR regulation, which says, right to be forgotten. So what it means is basically, if a customer calls you or sends you an email and says, I'd like to be forgotten, please remove all my information from all your systems. So what does it mean for you? First of all, what kind of customer information are you storing? Are you storing the customer's IP addresses, account ID, first name, last name, things like profile pictures? So you document, what does it mean for me, a customer information? And then you start defining the steps. So what's my game plan? Because as soon as you get such a request, you have 72 hours to react. So, you need to have a very strict game plan. So you say, it's step number 1, we go to these applications, do this and do that. So you want to define all these workflows and policies and procedures and processes for your program. And you'd like to store that in your DI repository along with your other business and technical metadata, so that you can link them together. And also people can subscribe to these processes, and so that if I subscribe to this process, I can get notifications whenever this data is being updated. Once you create your glossary, the next thing you'd like to do is to go after the physical data elements. you'd like to set up an application onboarding process where you can automatically scan and create an inventory of all your data elements in the repository. For instance, at a given time, when you'd like to know where are all the places email address exist, you can do a simple search and see these are the 752 places where this email information exists. And on the left-hand side, you see, okay, these are all the columns where you store email information, the files, the ETL, the reports, and you can drill down and say, okay, so show me those 9 reports where I have this email information. You can click on it and filter the results to those 9 elements. By the time you get to step number 3, you already have an application onboarding process where you can automatically scan your applications, your databases, and automatically identify and classify your PII data elements. So in this step, what you'd like to do is start creating the lineage. So let's, for instance, take the email example. The lineage will help you. So let me open the lineage diagram actually is for it. So what you see in front of you is our lineage diagram, which I'm going to walk you through step by step in this demonstration. But let's look at the lineage at a high level, at an application level. So this diagram shows you where this information enters the organization. So it's you capture customers' email information in the Salesforce.com application, right? And then you can see how the information traverses your organization from system to system. And you can see what are all the systems where this information is being used. I can also see the information, this lineage, at a detailed level, so where I can see all the way to the column level. I can see, how email information is being copied from one table to another. And I can also understand how this information is being used, for what purpose am I using this information, and if that purpose is along the lines of the consent I got from our customers. The lineage will also help you to uncover hidden PII data elements which you might have missed in the first glance. For instance, if you take this example, as you can see, this email information is being copied into the customer loyalty program application, and there it's being named as user ID. It's quite typical actually. The users use their email addresses as user ID in this customer loyalty program is the case. And as you see, as you start drilling down into this customer loyalty program, you see different tables where the customers, transactions are being stored, and all of a sudden you will realize that it's being called as created by. So the lineage will help you to identify these PII data elements, even if the name of the data element changes from email address to user ID to created by, or in other cases notification email and things like that. It will help you to still identify the PII data elements. As you grow your GDPR program, you'd like to have metrics to measure your progress in your program. Like, so for instance, at a given time when your DPO comes in and says, okay, where are we with our GDPR program, you'd like to be able to say, okay, we are 75% compliant, we have 25% more work to do, and these are exactly the tasks we are working on. So one of the key metrics we figured is worth tracking is the number of applications which failed or passed the privacy impact assessment. Most of you, I assume, are familiar with the privacy impact assessment report, which is being mentioned in the GDPR regulation. So for those of you not, so I'm going to walk you through in a minute. So let's look at this dashboard. It says GDPR readiness. It says you have in total 49 applications. 44 of your applications have passed the assessment. Great. But you have 5 applications still pending and still failing to pass the assessment. So you can click on it to drill down and see, what are the 5 applications failing this assessment. And we can see that, okay, one of them is our risk data warehouse. Well, quite a significant application actually. And if I'd like to understand more, I can double click on it and go straight to the PII, Privacy Impact Assessment Report tab, and start reading this report. So this report is generated for each application. It has fields like, okay, when was this report executed? What was the decision? Who made this decision? And then you start documenting, okay, what are the different business processes which relates to this application? What kind of personal data does this application contain? And by the way, where do they exist? Which schemas and tables and everything. What is the risk assessment? So what are the risks we see, we have identified, and how do we remediate them? So for instance, I have a critical risk, which is like, how am I going to protect from unexpected data modifications? Then as remediation, I might say, well, okay, I implement access rights, I give people permissions, so I don't give people permissions who don't have authority to modify the data, things like that. So you can document all these risks and remediations already in this report. But I'd like to also focus your attention here is the issues. So because of these issues, actually, this application has failed this assessment, right? So I can see these issues here being documented along with the application. So we have a issue management system embedded in our DI tool. And I can click on one of those issues. I can see, okay, it's the critical issue. I can see who's working on this issue, what's the ETA, what are the next steps, and how are we doing with this issue, already drilling down all the way from the dashboard to the issue level. We have also some other dashboards and reports, like for instance, the other dashboard I like is, it kind of shows how many different, PI data elements you have and how are they classified. Or you can actually, see their categories, like for instance, do I ever store any biometric data? Do I have any healthcare data or genetic data? So you can actually also monitor this kind of information, this kind of metrics by looking at your dashboards, which is being, updated regularly every time you refresh your repository. We also provide some out-of-the-box reports. For instance, in this case, we have this one out-of-the-box report, with various options where you can say, okay, show me all my PII information, and I'd like to see everywhere this information exists. When you run the report, it's going to open it in a separate tab, and for every PI information, you are going to have a separate page with all the details you need. And then you can, save this report in many different formats, or print it, or send it to other users.